Did you know that the technology from this F1 car stemmed from this F1 car and made its way into everyday cars? Let's talk about a moment in race history that revolutionized modern suspension. So the car I'm sitting on is a 1987 Lotus 99T. Back in the day, in the early 1980s, the Formula One cars were relegated to only have a 6-centimeter clearance between the bottom of the car and the pavement. As you know, racers, they always want to get an edge. They always want to find a way that they can get around things to go faster. What Chapman realized is that he could make the suspension active if he installed sensors and servos on each suspension arm. The suspension could adjust itself at a very fast rate. It boils down to three main points. It enables the car to have maximum downforce with its ride height. The car will have maximum adhesion because the tires will always have maximum grip to the track. And the third part is that the pitch of the car under braking and acceleration will always be constant. So with all these factors, you can see where the car would corner better, it would have better acceleration, deceleration. The car would operate the same whether it had a full tank of fuel or a half a tank of fuel. So after it was banned in Formula One, Lotus came back into the program, took that active suspension technology and put it into production cars. And then other manufacturers started to pick it up, and they realized how important it was in a production car, for it could monitor ride height, it could monitor the stiffness of your ride, it could improve cornering. It was a much safer system for a car to operate at its optimum design criteria. Well, it made a lot of sense for everyday cars because the road surfaces on highways and city streets, they're not very smooth. It had all the benefits that it did in racing, but not quite an aggressive style. What we're in today is a 2023 Honda Civic Type R. It has 4 modes of operation. So right now we're in comfort mode, which allows the suspension to move quite freely. That way absorbing cracks in the road, bumps and things like that gives you a much smoother ride. We'll shift from that up to a sport mode, which you can actually feel right away. It's a much stiffer ride. And then beyond sport mode, there's an individual mode. And in individual mode, what it does is it lets you set all the parameters that you want, not only just in your suspension, but also in shifting and steering. And then beyond that is the R mode. And the R mode is basically, I guess you could call that racing mode. So unlike a Formula One car, the suspension on this car is controlled a little bit different. It's still an adaptive suspension system. It's still controlled for your different levels of comfort, allows you to adjust the suspension. You make the settings and then the computer will take over after that. It's a hydraulic system that operates on valves to control the suspension. Since the Lotus 99T, the active suspension has progressed. The technology is incredible now. The road cars that have the full electronic active suspension can adjust their ride height, all sorts of different parameters of their suspension, just at the click of one button. Most production cars now that use the electronic active suspension, usually it's only in the SUVs that they control the ride height. That's because of off-road use and high center of gravity. Most of the road cars, it's all about suspension damping. And with race technology, it's not just about suspensions and getting the power to the road. It's, for instance, in Formula E now, it's all about batteries. And Formula E racing, which is open wheel like Formula One, they are making great strides in battery design and life, which is going to be trickling down into production cars also. So now when you buy a new car and you take it out, probably a good bit of the technology in that car has been developed in automobile racing programs. He used to say, what was that line? With active suspension, a puppet can drive a race car. That's what he used to say.